Welcome in, everyone, to the Better Advertising with Better Media podcast. I'm your host, Justin Knuckles. Here on the show, we like to talk about general e-commerce advertising and more specifically around Amazon. One big part of that recently has been video advertising. And so we are sitting here alongside of our guest, Rob Wiltsey from Video Fresh, CEO and founder. How you doing, Rob?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
Doing awesome. Really glad we got this conversation put together because video and really branding as a whole has been such a focus on Amazon over the last year. So I think you're going to have a lot of really great insights for us. And then also with me today is Emery Robbins, my colleague. How are you doing, Emery?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. I'm very excited to be talking about this. It's super relevant and we have just the guy for it.
Emery is now a strategic account director here at Better Media, whereas last time she was a guest on the show from a brand. So welcome in, Emery, now to the Better Media side. You've been here for quite a while, but Emery, I want to start with you. For those listening to the show that may not have a background into your experience, let's start there. Let everyone in on what your world of e-commerce looks like.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as you said, my name is Emery Robbins. I am a senior account director here at Better Media. I really help brands strategize their spend on Amazon and Walmart.com. So people trust us with a budget and we go and figure out how to spend it on Amazon.com and Walmart for return, growth, etc. And it's really, really fun. And video has been top of mind for all of the brands that I am on. How do we get people to click in and learn more about the product to convert to conversion? So it's really exciting. And a little bit of my background, I started in the Amazon space back in 2018 at a full service agency doing, A to Z Amazon. And so learned a ton there. And then I moved over to the brand side at a greeting card company as the head of Amazon. And so was able to make a lot of changes over there to make sure Amazon was being prioritized, and then jumped back over to the agency space focused on specifically paid media. So that's a little bit of my background. And then I'll pass it over to Rob to kind of give us a little bit more about who he is.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Emery, Justin. Yeah, my name is Rob. I'm like I said, founder and CEO of Video Fresh. We've been making videos for Amazon sellers for many years. We work with hundreds of sellers, thousands of videos, etc. And we are just on this endless quest to continue understanding the best practices, what works across every major type of video placement on Amazon. And it seems to kind of continue to be this frontier. I think there's a lot of brands that still have, I would say most brands on Amazon still have barely put their foot in the water with video. It's kind of amazing. Like even after all this time, I think that video continue for a bunch of reasons. Video continues to be one of those areas that it's expensive, it's complicated, it's tricky, it feels a little scary to dive into it. And so we really help brands navigate that and kind of excavate, like, let's learn about your products, your differentiators, like what is it about your products that people are really looking for? And then how can we just, come up with that methodology for this video where you can really feel like, yep, this is the right video. It's going to work. It's going to do what it needs to do. And so one of the things we really help brands do is think about their videos more clearly and then really partner with them and collaborate with them to create effective content and then measure that content together over time to hopefully iterate and improve upon that content as well. So, it's really great. We have a fantastic team. We're out here in LA. We have a studio, I've got this team and we're just having a blast and I've been doing this for a long time and don't plan on quitting anytime soon. So
I love how methodical it sounds like you are with your process in terms of creatives. Creatives often get this bad rap for just being, and I'm talking creatives like in the sense of the ones actually building the videos, not very data focused. And so it sounds like you're very much in touch with KPIs and iterating on videos to get the best performance out of them. So, I mean, over time, I remember when I got into Amazon, sponsor brand video seemed like a really great ad type if you had videos to run on those. If they already existed and it was easy to plug and play, why not run them? Versus today, it feels like you need to be running videos if you want to succeed on Amazon. So I would just love your opinion. And what has been the evolution in your time in Amazon with videos in terms of the production style, the intent of the video? What has been the evolution of videos on Amazon?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And it reminds me a little bit of the life cycle of like social media advertising and like Instagram Reels and like Facebook video ads and all that kind of thing, because these platforms have a life cycle. I think that people don't quite know what to do with them at first. They kind of just throw any pre-existing content they have on there. And of course, some video is better than no video. So I think that if someone's running no video ads, it's better to run something, or even just have a listing video on your page or Premium A Plus content. But what we've seen in terms of the evolution is people really being more methodical, which is great. But I actually feel like we're still early in the life cycle. I actually think that it's moving quite slow. And I think that that's because sellers are rightfully very cautious about making investments and making sure that those investments really work. And so what I'm seeing there being so much more potential and room to grow, both creatively in terms of being data driven with your videos, in terms of sellers actually taking some creative risks and maybe being a little more interesting, getting out of the box. I don't know if you remember like what social media ads were, for example, back 10 years ago. They were not what they are now. Like the memification of like videos on social media is so interesting to watch, because brands were not doing that 10 years ago. They were like basically running like what you would run on TV, or like running very, very safe, very cautious content. Now brands understand that the more risky you can be, and like kind of really grabbing attention in some ways that stand out and maybe are kind of anti-ad, like that's working really well on these other platforms. My personal prediction is that even on places like Amazon, I think you're going to see things move more and more in that direction. Just a personal prediction, because I think that that's going to be the only place left to go. It's going to be the only differentiator left at some point, right? And so I think that what you're seeing right now is more brands. I think it's now undeniable that sellers understand, yeah, we need to take video seriously. And now I think the hang up is a little bit like, how do we do that? And I think a lot of people have actually ran sponsored brands video ads and maybe not gotten a great return on them. And that's been kind of scarring for them. And so a lot of people don't quite know what to make of that app type. My take on that is you have to figure out how to use those, because it's such a powerful platform. It's such a powerful medium and ad type. And it's one of the most unique ad types on the internet. The fact you can actually take any keyword, any long tail keyword, and like appeal to that search intent with any piece of video content you want is pretty powerful. It's more powerful, I think, than any other platform in video placement. You can't do that on social. You can't do that on, DSP and things like that. It's really like a sponsored brands video ads. I'm just a big fan. It's like a really powerful way of appealing to a customer as they're trying to buy something, and putting the most effective video content right in front of them. So I think that brands understand that they're really trying stuff. I think they understand that it's easy to kind of make the wrong video, or it is easy to lose money. I think that's fair to say. It's easy to not make money with sponsored brands video ads if you don't understand the best practices, and if you're not planning to iterate on what works. And I think we understand things like conversion rate optimization with web pages. Everybody knows like the first version of a web page you make is not going to be the best version, right? And that's just the first one, and then you got to measure the right data and improve that. So that's what we're trying to help brands understand as well, is let's calibrate our expectations. We're going to come in with that first video, best practices, and as much as we could possibly put into that first video, but that's just like kind of the beginning of the journey. Let's measure data, let's improve on stuff, let's maybe do different edits, different opening shots, whatever. And you really can work your way to more and more effective videos. So I just think that, fast forward 10 years from now, I think sellers are going to be a lot more sophisticated, and agencies are going to be a lot more sophisticated with thinking about not just the campaign around the content, but actually iterating the content. I think that's like kind of not the focus for the most part. It seems to be kind of around the keyword strategy and everything around that piece of content. That piece of content is really doing a lot of that heavy lifting of the effectiveness for the customer. So that's where we've kind of planted our flag as a company, is like, let's just really iterate there and partner with great companies like y'all, who understand everything around the content, right? It's both. And I think that, so there's a lot we can talk about in terms of like the best practices for each of those ad types, and really what each type of video has to do to be effective. And so I'll just leave it there for now, I guess.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic look at kind of the evolution of how videos have been used on Amazon. I think that was a great great view for everybody. And I can relate to it. I remember, I mean, not I remember, but rather the video builder, which is new to Amazon, I'm sure you've seen that, is just breaking down the walls and the barriers to using videos, where you don't need a full service production team now to build you live action videos. You can build essentially an animated slideshow, which is still a video, and you can take some of those placements. And now I'm sure those don't perform nearly up to the level that yours do. So I'll let you speak to that. But let's talk a little bit about the iteration process, how you're coming to the best video asset, depending on where that video is being used. What have you seen? What are you doing to get the best video out of every placement it can be placed?
Yeah. So we could start with like the sponsored brands video ad, for example. So that video, really, I think people actually do too much with those videos. I think people are putting in too much and trying to have those videos be too much. I think, for example, that's not a place to really educate. I don't think that's a good place to do any education and helping your customers understand a lot of details about your products. I think that video, because remember, they're typing in a keyword and they're saying, oh, I want, I'm looking for a safe with a keypad or something like that, right? They're typing that in and that ad is coming up. And what that video needs to do, all that video needs to do is get a click. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't need to have them fully understand the product. It doesn't need to really even necessarily tell much of a big story. I mean, it might, but all it needs to do is get a click. And so it's like, well, what is that going to take for this customer with that keyword? And if it's a pretty simple product, right? If it's a product that doesn't have a ton of utility to it, like I've got this fake bonsai tree here that I have on my desk. It does nothing. It has no utility at all. It sits on my desk and is a cool looking fake bonsai tree. You don't need to explain anything about that product. You just need to show it off. That's probably all you need to do with that. And I think you need to, it's just got to be eye candy. And what kind of eye candy is going to get the click? I don't know. Maybe make 10 videos of different kinds of eye candy in different places with this and run them all and see which one. And the algorithm, that's the cool thing about the algorithm too, is you don't even have to do all that work anymore. You can actually just dump a bunch of different videos into a campaign and the algorithm will elect the most effective one. It will kind of do that testing for you. And there's also a manual way to do that I think has value as well. But then if you have, a higher utility product, which I don't really have on my desk here. Well, here's like a tripod, right? So I got this tripod. There's a lot to learn about this tripod. How tall is it? What can it hold on it? But at the end of the day, if there's long tail keyword intent that's saying they want a tripod that holds an iPhone, like if that's in that long tail keyword, that opening shot better show an iPhone. Mm-hmm. If they're typing in a long tail keyword that talks about something about an iPhone or something about a DSLR camera or that it's tall, whatever long tail detail is in the keyword that they're typing, in a perfect world, that opening shot would be validating this product has that specific characteristic that you're looking for. Yeah. That's a basic one that 99% of Amazon sellers are not thinking that way about their sponsored brands videos, and they're not appealing to that intent right away in their videos. And to me, that's like step one, right?
One of the hard things with that is the way a lot of people set up their sponsor brand video campaigns are going to go after a lot of different keywords. And so you have to be working with an agency, or if you're doing this in-house, that they're able to set up sponsor brand campaigns that are going after exact match for those keywords for that intent. So if someone is searching Android with that, they're showing the Android video, versus if someone searches iPhone, they're showing the iPhone video. And so you really have to partner with someone who's going to be lockstep with you in executing that. And I think specifically sponsor brand videos, people just have one sponsor brand video that they run for just all their products. And the more granular people are getting, the better performance we've seen. And so that's part of the evolution. Back to that question is, people are just getting more granular and unique with what videos they are running, not to mention vertical videos that have come out this year, and brands are able to repurpose their other content and test on Amazon. I don't know, Justin, what else do you think on all of that?
I'm just trying to go back to the product differences. I think that's such a key point. We often point to our clients and say,
Hmm.
show the product in the first 3 seconds, show some lifestyle, key target demographics in your video. Whereas you're getting a lot more precise and saying, if you're selling a selfie stick, make a selfie stick video for selfie stick with iPhone search term, but also make a different video for selfie stick with Android, right? It might be the same exact product, but you're showing a different phone maybe being used in the product. So I think that's a key point that could really improve performance across sponsor brand video, especially click-through rate, in tying together that relevancy of the search term you're targeting a lot better. So that's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, yeah, Emery, that's a really interesting point about you have to start from ground zero with your strategy of how you're building your campaigns. And you have to bundle those campaigns by common search intent, right? And then you can start to build up to having the right pieces of content in place. And you're right. I think a big reason more people don't do that is by the time they come around to that strategy, they've already built all these campaigns in some way that doesn't play nice with that strategy. And so they just go, I guess we'll just kind of because it's a lot of work to undo that, and I think that if someone's typing in I think we just have to think about the psychology here. If someone's bothering to say selfie stick for an iPhone, like if someone's bothering to type in for an iPhone, what they're really doing is they're saying, I don't just want a selfie stick. I want one that I know is going to work with my iPhone, 15 plus, right? So in a perfect world, so what are they doing? What are they doing when they're scrolling through all the results? They're looking for the one that is demonstrating proof that it works with the 15. That's what they're doing on the search. They're not, they're telling you they're telling you how to, what it takes for them to buy, right there in the keyword. So that's what I think is so powerful about that. And there's all kinds of ways they do that. And what we found is when we look through, the top 1,000 keywords for a product or whatever, depending on how many people have. Sometimes they have thousands of keywords, which is a lot. But when we look through the top, 80% of keywords based, ranked by impression, what we find is there usually are about, 3 or 4 or 5 major long tail keyword categories for any given product. And then if you can appeal to those, then you're not making, dozens of videos, maybe you're making 5 videos, per product. And there's kind of an 80-20 where if those 5 long tail keywords account for, 80% of the long tail detail, you're covering a lot of ground with very few, edits, which is nice and more practical to do. But I think thinking about, because here's the other thing to say about this. What are all the other search results on that search results page? It's just product on white background.
Right.
That's all it can be for everybody else. Whereas you have a video that can be anything. Right. So that's powerful to me. It's like you should be able to always be the most relevant thing with your sponsor brands video ads compared to all the other search results pages. And I don't think sellers and even a lot of agencies are thinking about the ads that way. I don't think they're necessarily even thinking about that strategy that, wait, I just have to be more relevant than what else is going to show up on the search results page and how can we do that? So that's like one example of that's what a sponsor brands video is there to do, is to earn that click, and it needs to earn that click against alternatives and those other imagery. So I think that's where you have to start when you're designing those videos and telling a story about the product that is going to not say 10 different things about the product. Really, I think one message. Like I think a sponsor brands, and I think you should test what that one message is, but I would try keeping it to one like laser focused message per ad. A couple other things I would recommend is keep them short, keep them like 10 to 12 seconds max, 4 or 5 shots, and design them to loop. And the reason for this, and I've seen a lot of the top brands start to do this, there's something about an ad clearly being almost like a trailer for the video. It's not the whole movie. It's like a trailer. It's teasing them, hey, you like what you see so far? Well, click and you can learn everything about it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to give you everything. We're not going to give you a 45-second ad where you sit there on the search page and watch a whole 45-second piece of content. We're just going to go bang, 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 loop, bang, 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 loop. There's something about that cadence and having them watch a few loops of it. It's like, okay, I got to click to learn more. So far, it's appealing to what I want. I want this to be the product that I'm trying to buy. Let's click in and see. And once you're on the page, you just got like, you're like 70-80% through the buyer's journey once you get that click. So that's that. Like, now once they're on the page, they want to buy the product, and they are just trying to now validate this or that as a last stretch to their buying process. So that's what we can talk about next, is then like, what is that, what is the video, what role can the video content play on that page to do that? But I think that's the just to kind of put a bow on that, the big aha that I hope sellers have is, if your sponsored brands video ads are saying too much, they're probably not saying anything at all. Like, they just need to stick one messaging point that's going to be unmissable for someone scrolling through that page. And we can talk about also the data that can support conversion rate optimization process, things like 5-second view rates, view through rates, click through rates, unmute rates. Like, there's all the, Amazon gives you a lot of really cool data to know how people are engaging with that little video ad, and that can be really powerful too. So
yeah, I think your point is kind of the second half of what we always say, make a scroll stopping creative, but that doesn't assume that they then click into the ad, right? You can have a really colorful, really eye-catching video, but if it's not tied to your search term, like you've been saying this whole time, then it's not going to generate that click. It's not going to cross that 70% of the way through the buyer journey once you're on the detail page. So that's a key point that sellers should keep in mind, is tying the relevancy to your search terms. But to where you were headed there, I wanted to talk about some of those other forms of video and how you continue that buyer's journey, maybe once you're on the detail page, or maybe you drive them to a storefront and now they're on your brand Amazon storefront. How do you create compelling videos, outside of sponsor brand video in other areas?
That's a great question. Yeah, like, to your point, you can now send traffic straight to your storefront from your sponsor brands video ad, which is really interesting. It's a really interesting strategy, actually, because someone might be typing in a keyword that doesn't point to a particular product in so much as it might point to kind of a catalog of products, right? So someone might be typing in a keyword that is, if it's for that bonsai tree that I was showing, it's like, maybe they're typing in like, decorations for a desk, right? So sometimes a keyword can actually be like a category, right?
Totally.
So it's probably best to send that traffic to your catalog of cool bonsai trees and other types of decorations that you have, as opposed to arbitrarily, picking one to drive that traffic to. So I think that in that case, where are they now? They're on your storefront, and your storefront is a very special place for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't have competition on there. You don't have it's not like your detail page, which is like, there's all kinds of other competitors and places for them to click away. On that storefront, it's like a safe space. Like, there's no, as far as I know, there's no like competitors on there. It's kind of like a little website for your store. So if you're on there, you can do some really cool brand building on there. You can create some great branded content. You can kind of tell this, you could have like a founder story on there. You could have like, some cool branded stuff. You could, be talking about your product categories. You could have some humorous content, like whatever. It's kind of this really cool opportunity to really earn mind share and differentiate yourself against other brands. So the storefront should be a place to do two things. It should be a place to familiarize the customer with your catalog. Like, what are the sorts of things you sell? And the second thing is, it should develop the personality of your brand. And brand is, you asked a question, where is Amazon going? What's the evolution? And probably the biggest way to answer that question is actually brand. Brand is the great divider of brands, of companies on Amazon. Just keep our terms clear. Like, if you are just a commodity and you just have a store and you sell things, you are a company that sells things, but you're probably not a brand. You are a brand once people feel like they know you and your brand has a personality. People see your logo and they feel something. That's really probably the easiest way to distill what a brand is. And Amazon is, a tough place to build a brand. And, to be fair, is it the ideal place to do the brand building? Probably not, but you've got your storefront. So you might as well try, right? You might as well use that to whatever extent it can help build that brand. And I think that if you can really, on that storefront, have some great photos, some great, graphic design, but then really leverage the fact that you can have lots of video content on those pages. And they're pretty, it's pretty flexible what you can have on there. I mean, like the lengths of the videos and the numbers of the videos, you can really kind of go to town on that. So I would say that a great brand video, again, if you have one brand video, kind of who we are, what we do, it should really capture the personality of your brand and your brand values. And then it should familiarize the customers with your product line and what kinds of things that you sell. I think those are really the two big things that you should do. And there are some, Amazon has some really great stats on the effectiveness of, if you've got a storefront, you've got videos on your storefront that does, every time there's no video somewhere and you add a video, it's going to bump engagement up. It's not going to hurt. It's going to bump it up a little bit or a lot, right? And it looks so different for every brand, but all the brands we work with, tell us that they see those increases and the, more clicks, more conversions, more time spent on the page, all that stuff you want to see. So, and then the other place to do that brand building is on your Premium A Plus content, I would say. I think that's the other place to add brand voice, is kind of down on that page. You can have, there's a lot of opportunity to add certain video placements that are more brand centric, and obviously should be product centric because you're on the listing page, but like, kind of connecting the brand to the product and those brand values.
Absolutely.
What about the product detail page video? Talk a little
Yes.
bit about the purpose of that video, because we've hit on sponsor brand video ad, the purpose of that, Premium A Plus, in storefront. I think the
Yeah.
last one to cover would be the product detail page video.
Yes, which is a big one. Yeah, that's a biggie. I think that if I was going to rank the importance, like what videos are most important, by the way, I would probably say that it would be the product detail page video, closely followed by like a strategic sponsor brands video. And the reason is, we like to say people don't buy what they don't understand. So if somebody doesn't understand your product, like everything about your product, then, or a better way to put it is, if they don't understand everything they want to know about your product, then they're not going to buy. So one of the best ways to do that is with that listing page video. I find myself as an Amazon shopper watching listing page videos all the time, because obviously you've got information. And one of the cool things about a product detail page is it's expressing this information in lots of different ways. You've got like you've got your little item description area. You've got like tables at the bottom with all kinds of stats on it. You've got customer reviews. You've got Premium A Plus content. What you're doing is you're giving your customer a bunch of options to digest kind of a lot of the same information, right? For me, if there's a video about the product and I want to learn about the product, I'm clicking on that video because I'm lazy and I don't like to read. So I like to watch the video and just have it spoon feed me the important information.
Right.
To me, the objective of that video is to thoroughly educate. That is really the objective of that video. So does it need to be a scroll stopper? No, because they're not really scrolling. They're actually, anytime a customer is clicking on a video to watch the video, they're opting in on purpose. You've got them. They'll sit there and watch that video for the most part, as long as it stays engaging and is giving them what they're looking for, and it's staying informative, and it's moving efficiently, and out of respect for their time, it's giving them all the information they're looking for. They're going to watch that video. Super different from like a sponsor brands video ad. You really have to grab them because they are in control of scrolling through a search results page. Product detail page, just know you've got them. The audience is like, tell me all about this product. If it's this one, it's like, how tall does it go? What kinds of things does it hold? How small does it fold down? What is it made of? Is it durable? Is it weatherproof? And a lot of the places where I like to go to the customer reviews to look for, what do customers say they care about? Like, what do the customers care about with regard to this product? What do they value? What are they looking for? So rather than, I think there's also kind of a delta sometimes between like the things we want to say about our products and what customers care about. Like they're always a little different. And so it's probably a better source of truth to look at what your customers are like. Oh, I like that it's lightweight. I like that it's easy to fold down. It's And maybe that's like a slightly different bullet point list than the things you want to say. You can say all of it, obviously, but I think that really being in touch with why your customers are buying that product and what they're looking for, put that stuff front and center in the video, like right up top, because that is going to be the best way to validate what they're really looking for and not saying just what you want to say about the product.
I love that. One thing that I don't think brands always think about is if your product is technical or someone needs to know specific instructions about it, I have gone to detail pages after I've bought something to say, how does this actually work? I don't have the instructions are confusing in the packaging. So I'm just going to go to the detail page and go and watch the video. And then you're building a better relationship with that customer because you had video content that supports them using your product. And so I always think that's after the fact, like that's not even in the marketing funnel. That is like loyalty and making sure that your customer feels supported by you after they even bought the product. And then obviously you hope that they'd buy something else from you because you totally supported them with, better instructions than what was maybe in the packaging, which is, you don't always think about that.
I love that. We've done a good amount of that too, like customers putting, little cards with QR codes in the box. And now, oh, how do I install this? Oh, boop, I'm going to watch that video. The beautiful thing about that is you can drive that traffic wherever you want. So this is kind of, if you see where I'm going with this, one thing many sellers want to do is maybe cultivate their customer lists, right? That Amazon tends to own for themselves. If you want to do that, having a QR code that directs them to an instructional video, maybe that lives on your website. Maybe that lives on your social media. Maybe it can live, or maybe you only want to develop an Amazon, you want to keep everything in Amazon. And so that's on your storefront page or on the listing page, like you said. So that's a cool strategy that gives you a lot of control over a post-purchase touch point that, to your point, absolutely, like that's a great way to keep them engaged. I mean, then you just start to even expand on that idea. And can you create really cool, silly branded I did a episode last year with someone that's one of the things they really like to help brands do is like do these post-purchase branded engagements with putting cards in the packaging. And then what you can even get an app, like what this guy does is he builds apps that for brands as a way to capture them after. So it's like basically like, it depends on what the brand is, but if you really want to build brand, you have to do stuff that has nothing to do with your products and has nothing to do with selling stuff. You have to just make cool stuff that people want to engage with. So that could be a YouTube channel, it could be a podcast, it could be an app that does something helpful. It could be all kinds of stuff, but video can play a huge role in those things. And I think if you're going to build brand at all, you have to think about, where do I take my customer after they bought something? Like that, a customer buying something is not the end of the job. It's the beginning of the job. Right. Once they buy, everything after that is a brand play that is going to keep them becoming more and more intimately involved with your brand for additional purchases. And so that's like a whole other conversation that I love talking about, because that's one of the things that's going to separate the big winners over the next 10 years on Amazon from like everybody else is they're putting money in. And the thing about brand too, that I think the reason more people don't make those brand plays, even though they understand that they work, is because it's risky and it's hard to measure, right? It's really hard to measure the ROI of those kinds of things. But I'm a huge believer in like, how can you delight your customer after they purchase in a way that you're not selling them anything, you're not asking for anything. And like you said, some of that could be like, hey, here's an assembly video, here's like an instructional video, here's a guide of how to use your product better. But then it could be, I mean, that's just the beginning of what you could do with video, with storytelling, and keeping your customers really engaged with your brand post-purchase. So a little bit of an off-ramp there, but I think that's an interesting conversation.
I want to switch gears from where we are here at the bottom of the funnel in that post-purchase relationship and actually go to the most top of the funnel we possibly can and ask you, Rob, if you've had the chance to work with the new sponsored TV video assets we've been now allowed to run. I know that's one we didn't talk about up till now. So let's go into that, is basically running a TV commercial for some of these Amazon brands. Have you had the chance to work with brands doing that?
We have, yeah, we did a lot of those through. If you're familiar with the Amazon Video Incentive Program, are you all familiar
Oh
with
yeah.
that? So we dabbled with that for a while. We might go back to it, but we did a lot of those directly with Amazon, working with Amazon, and most of those ended up being for streaming TV. We got to do something for like with Post cereals. That was fun. You know,
Cool.
we got some bigger brands that we got to work with through that. The cool thing about those is, again, kind of categorically, let's kind of deconstruct the streaming TV video ad placement. People are not opting into this content, much like a sponsored brands video ad. So you absolutely have to not necessarily stop the scroll, but because they're not scrolling, but you definitely have to grab their attention with something. And I think one of the biggest differences between a streaming TV ad and a sponsored brands video ad is audio. So on a sponsored brands video ad, you have to make sure that video works really, really well with the sound off and it grabs them and it feels kinetic and interesting and engaging with no sound. Of course, they get unmuted if they want to, but most people won't. A streaming TV ad is the opposite. You need to use audio to the fullest because the vast majority of people will have the sound on, depending on the placement. If they're watching, Amazon Prime or Fire TV or these other things, or if they're just, I think most of the times where that placement's going to show up is a place where they probably have the audio on, and not that is one of the best ways to grab their attention is the power of audio and sound and voice and music and sound effects and all of those good things. And so I'm not sure how much you listen to the radio. I don't listen to the radio as much as I once did. However, when I do, I'm always very impressed with what people are doing with radio ads now. I'm not sure if you've how much you've heard of that, but people get like really creative now with sound effects and concepts that surround the concept is surrounded with an audio gimmick of some kind. I actually think that's an interesting place to start with any ad that where audio is going to be consumed. I think that sound is massively underrated in video. I think one of the most powerful things about video is what you can do with audio in the video. So I think that if your product makes a sound, use that sound in the creative of the video. That's an interesting idea, right? So if your product is chips, that sound like opening the bag of chips, crunching the chips, like lean into audio. That obviously that's not the only strategy, but that strategy is very hard to fail with that strategy in terms of engagement. So I also think that you want to tell a little story, little problem solution story is always great. It's a great place to add humor. I think customers want humor. If there's any way to justify humor in your brand, think about doing something funny. Think about being entertaining. One of the things that the other thing that your streaming TV video ad's going to have to do that your sponsored brands video does not have to do is it has to, by the time they're watching a sponsored brands video ad, they already want something and they know what they want, and you're showing them an ad about what they want. A streaming TV ad is like, they don't want anything. They're just trying to watch like Game of Thrones or whatever.
Right.
And you see what I'm saying? They have no intent. There's zero intent to buy anything.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is make them laugh, make them feel something, make a connection, give them a reason to watch this video that has nothing to do with your product. So the first like 5 to 10 seconds should be like earning their attention somehow.
I mean, it is a very disruptive ad type. So to your point of that, it's not scroll stopping, but it's almost like ear catching, right? To the point of audio is like, I've been in the kitchen many times making dinner with ESPN on in the living room, and I hear a commercial come on. And I'm like, oh, what's that? And I go running out to see what it is. So I didn't see anything. I just heard it and it caught my eye. So I see your point exactly.
You want them to stay on the screen. You want them to stay on the screen that they're watching versus grabbing their other screen to be distracted by another social media. So that's a whole point of that ad needs to be interesting enough so they don't want to go do something else.
That is a great point, because this is always going to be the most powerful screen, right? It just is.
You're holding up your iPhone.
I'm holding
up his iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your iPhone. Your smartphone screen is always gonna be the thing. That's a great. I love that. I'm gonna use that. Yeah, and I'll quote you. But I think that can you hold can you keep their attention off their phone? I think that's a great test of a streaming TV ad, assuming this is actually on TV. I guess technically streaming TV, I mean, it depends where you're watching TV. You could actually watch TV on your phone too, but yeah, the classic example is someone's like watching their TV in their house, but streaming TV can also appear in many places, right? It's just kind of a classic OTT placement. But I do think that it is important to give them, it's like, would you, like, be honest with yourself, would you watch this ad
Mm-hmm.
if you weren't in the market for this necessarily, or weren't thinking about this product? How can you earn attention? There's that balance of like earning attention for its own sake. Like this ad is worth watching for some reason. That could be because it's emotional. It could be very emotional. It could be funny. It has to be, I think. So this is another little model I like to use, is there's actually only 3 types of value that content can provide, period. It doesn't matter if it's a blog, a video, podcast. The 3 kinds of value that content can provide is it's educational, inspiring, or entertaining. Those are really, if you can think of a 4th, let me know. But I think I've had this conversation with a bunch of people. It's just those 3. So I would say that as long as you're being extreme in one of those directions, you're going to have good content. So if you're extremely informative, extremely entertaining, extremely inspiring. So inspiring would be like, we're seeing this bonsai tree in really cool, designer situations where I'm like, oh, that's a cool way to design a living room. Oh, maybe I'll like that's inspiring. Or if it's like a nonprofit or something, which I know this is like off topic for that category, but like if it's a nonprofit, you're going to go inspiring. You're going to show the way this nonprofit is like changing, this child's life, right? That's not entertaining. It's not educational. It's inspiring to go, wow, this organization is really changing lives, and it's hitting me in an emotional place. So I think that for streaming TV, that platform, it's really going to be number 1, probably entertaining is the first place you want to go with your streaming TV. Number 2 is going to be probably like inspiring, because that's how you build the bridge between where their brain is, which is, I want to watch Game of Thrones, to where you want them to go, which is, oh, maybe I'll check that product out, right? That's a pretty big left turn psychologically for somebody to actually want to buy a product in an ad that they're just seeing pop up. But we do it all the time. And especially because I believe that streaming TV ad is not just showing it to anybody. It is pulling your data. It should be showing you ads that are totally relevant to you as well. But at the same time, the only thing that's relevant in your mind is watching Game of Thrones in that moment. And so you really have to create that little bridge, with entertaining or whatever. So
yeah. And assuming it's entertaining enough, maybe it does get you to that second screen and searching for the brand name, right? Like I've seen many commercials and I'm hopping right on my phone to see what this brand actually does or what they sell or what they offer. So to that point, before we go much further, I'd love to ask you if you have a favorite entertaining commercial that's on right now. If there's something on TV, online even, that you've seen that's just like peak entertainment, is just like, this is my favorite commercial right now. And if you don't have anything, we'll come back at the end of the episode and let you answer that. But if you have one top of mind where you're like, this commercial is just 100, I love it.
I think for me, when you asked me that, one video immediately came to mind, which is the Murphy Ladder videos by the Harmon brothers. Shout out to those guys. Go Google search Murphy Ladder TV commercial. It's not that, I mean, I think they were on TV, but of course it was multi-channel. It was everywhere. But that is some fantastic. They took the most boring product, which is a folding ladder, and they turned it into the most entertaining commercial. You'll sit there and watch 5 minutes of it. Like, you can't turn it off because it's just too good. So I've been taking a lot of notes personally from I've been taking a lot of notes from the Harmon brothers for a while, and we've been doing more of that style. We're getting more and more Amazon sellers wanting funny stuff, which I love, because that wasn't happening 5 years ago, and even 3 years ago. Something's changing in the way the wind's blowing, whatever. People are like getting less afraid to be funny and silly with their videos, and I like that. because that's what we like. I mean, that's what people like. That's what I would stop and watch. Funny is also hard. Funny is probably the hardest kind of content to do successfully because it's one thing if you think it's funny, but creating something that's broadly agreed to be funny is not so easy. But I think that you have to try, because I think that there's no better way probably to get someone who's not trying to buy anything to pay attention to your product is with humor. And so we're doing a lot more of that right now as a company, which I love, because we're all kind of like funny at our company, but like no one knows that because no one's green lighting funny stuff for the most part, right? But now that's changing, and so we get to open up a little bit and get a little sillier. So
yeah, Amazon content is like, show the benefits, show the ingredients, show the reviews, and people are starting, it sounds like, to move away from that and be a little bit more funny, punchy. You're trying to earn that click and then go and educate them on the product in the PDP video through your Premium A+ content. And then if they want to learn more about your brand, they're going to head to your store page, and that's where you have the founder story and show a little bit more of your product selection. And so I can totally see/hear the purpose of each is a funnel in and of itself. And hopefully you get the sale and you can remarket to them and bring them back for more different products. But I love that Amazon has given us this many opportunities to use video content. And, we can go super, super upper funnel now with STV and OLV, which really is also that, you're being shown an ad and we got to entertain them or educate them or inspire them. As you said, I think those three are really great to remember. And I'm definitely tucking that away in my mind when I start to talk about video more and more.
That's awesome.
The short form of video, as Emery was saying earlier, with vertical video has become a lot more of a focus, I think, with Amazon sellers trying to use their UGC videos. Obviously, Instagram Reels taking off recently, TikToks, even TikTok Shop. So where do you see short form video fitting into all these video strategies for Amazon sellers? How can they best leverage either UGC or just in general vertical video?
Yeah, I love UGC. I think that UGC is incredibly effective, obviously, for building social proof. I think, when you're on Instagram, and I know we're talking about the Amazon platform right now, but I think there's more and more ways that sellers can use the UGC. There's two kinds of Amazon sellers, Amazon brands, whatever you want to say. The ones that are kind of only on Amazon, and then there's the ones that really do have a brand off Amazon, and they're doing their social, and they're doing a lot of UGC, and they've got their direct to consumer website set up, and they're on Walmart, and they're everywhere, and they're also, but maybe Amazon's a huge part of their sales, but they're also everywhere, and they're doing brand building off Amazon, which I think is the best place to do it. I think it's best to do that off Amazon and then drive that traffic to Amazon, or that, not that you can't do it on Amazon, but the UGC is important because that is the native language of social media, and people do like watching UGC ads. It is funny seeing how that has evolved, and it's become its own style that just kind of emerged like over the last 10 years, the classic vertical UGC influencer video. But we just did a video for a company called Happy Nuts, where we took all their UGC and kind of mixed it up together into like a montage of UGC. Yeah. And that's a great way to do it too, is you can use all your UGC content, stir it all up into a video that makes a really effective, I think probably ideally that content would be really effective on your storefront. So you can kind of have like just a montage of a bunch of UGC in one video, kind of all stirred together. And also on your Premium A+. So we've made UGC videos for a bunch of brands that live on their Premium A+, like video carousels and stuff, and other places where you can actually this tripod, right? It's like, here's a bunch of people using it and saying all the same thing, like a bunch of them attesting to how easy it is to carry around, right? So maybe you have like 5 UGC clips kind of back to back in a loop. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so light. Wow, I can take it everywhere. It's like, I'm taking it hiking. And it's like, look how easy it is to set up. So it's like, and it's creating social proof. It's like, hey, join the party, join these thousands of people that love using this product, right? So it's the social proof aspect of UGC I think there's a lot of really cool ways of like remixing that on Amazon. Because then of course you have your actual Amazon customer review videos, and that's like its own thing. And you also have like the Amazon influencers. That's its own thing. But in terms of what you as a brand can do is, you can use companies like Billo to just get tons of different UGC of your videos. Grin is another one. So if you've got an archive of UGC, like you should be putting that to work anywhere you can across Amazon. You can also use that on your sponsored brands video ads too. You can make an ad that's just using a bunch of real customers using the product. That's awesome, because those ads are really effective because they show, hey, you're in good company. Thousands of people just like you love this product. Get yourself one.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool creative approach.
I love the montage recommendation. I know I'm guilty of seeing some of these UGC videos and I'm like, well, that's just one person, right? Does everybody have that experience? So bundling that up and just creating this echo chamber, more or less, of like all these happy customers have been satisfied with the product. So you will be too, I think, is a great recommendation.
Yeah, the vertical video brands video ads are a great ad because it makes it easier to repurpose a lot of that stuff now too. So
we have a few minutes left here. I just wanted to give you a couple questions here, Rob, on just going forward. If someone was interested in working with you, do you have any memorable projects you could point to as like, this was a great experience I had working with a brand? A lot of brands see success with me like this. Do you have like any case studies you can speak to, or where do you help brands really tailor their videos across the funnel with KPIs, making sure, I got burned on a sponsor brand video last time. I really want to try this again. What are we going to track going forward? So, what are your case studies? What are you watching for to determine success in these videos?
Yeah. One of the things that our company is really, our team is just really uniquely good at, I think we're probably the best at this that I've ever seen, is just maximizing a filming day. So we have a thing where we charge by the filming day. So if you've got a catalog of products, which most sellers aren't just selling one thing, most sellers that, we work with, they've got a little catalog going, maybe 10 or 20 or more videos, products. Then what we like to do, the way that we do video production, is we like to fill a day capturing content for all those products, and we get it amounts to a really low cost per product, and they're getting premium video quality, and that quality is important. I think that there's always going to be a reason to have professionally produced videos in addition to your UGC, but you don't want to spend too much on that content. You want to have that, strike the right balance between quality and cost, and that's kind of where we live with our approach. And so if someone's interested in working with us, they can schedule a call with us, and we can, give them basically free video creative and kind of production plans and see if it's something they want to do. But in terms of a case study that comes to mind, or a good, an experience where a customer had a lot of success, there was a company called Shower Max, and they are one of the top sellers of shower heads on Amazon, and they had a huge catalog of stuff. And it turns out filming shower heads are a little tricky, because you have to be in showers, and you have to, if you have a lot of colors, you have to have a lot of different shower head the pipes coming out of the wall all have to match the shower head, and you have to be in showers that look nice, and those can be expensive, right? And so this client was saying, hey, we need all these videos. Our team was able to come up with a really lean way of getting all that content produced, and we were able to film, I think, 32 of their shower heads over like 4 days. We hired actors, we hired plumbers that were swapping out pipes. We kept the cost really, really, in a place that they thought was really great. And he told us that he experienced a 50% increase in sales of his top selling shower heads, based on the campaign that it kind of included these videos and things like that. And he also did some other things. He updated his pages and did a couple other things, but he let us know that he attributed most of that growth to the videos. So that was like really encouraging to hear. I did feel bad for the guy that had to take like 20 showers a day. The actor we hired, he was a real trooper. He's like, this was a lot of showers. And we're like, we're so sorry. But other than that, that was a great case. So that's really one of the areas that our team really excels is if you have a catalog of videos, the way we design our filming days is really, usually we're able to knock out between 5 and 10 products in a filming day, doing full, on location with actors, demonstrating your products, really high level creative stuff. that's really, I do think our team is the best in the world at those projects. We can film stuff in studio. We can also film stuff on location. We handle everything. We handle the content strategy, the script writing, the filming, and the editing. A lot of times we're delivering, dozens of videos out of a single filming day, different versions. We can also do images too, and essentially get you photography out of that day at no additional charge too. So I'm just really, really feel really fortunate to be working with such a great creative team out here. And so, yeah, and we're happy to help anyone out that needs it. We can also do one-off videos and things like that. And if people work with you, they get like a free video and cool stuff like that too. So lots of ways to get started, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear, like the level you're going above and beyond, literally hiring plumbers for your clients, not for the reasons that most people would think, but that's so cool. Thank you to everyone for listening in today. Thank you to Rob for sitting in. So, if anyone has questions about general advertising, questions, advice, education, please reach out to us at Better Media. We are all things education here. Leading up to Prime Day, I'm sure a lot of people will have questions. So if you're in need of a conversation, reach out to us here. And like we said, reach out to Video Fresh and Rob's team if you need some help with videos, creatives, also leading up to the big Prime Day. So thank you again, Rob, for being here today.
Thanks so much. Really great to chat with you both, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. So
awesome. Thanks. See you guys.